Hey guys, welcome back. Lars is here for Touch Plus again, and in this part we're going to go ahead and carry on creating this bottom piece for the threads. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to create is this cylinder or sort of suspension system kind of thing. So we're first going to go ahead and create a cylinder. We're going to go ahead and make this piece live. So just go to Modify, Make Live. And in my top view, if I go ahead and find this, I'm going to go ahead and create a cylinder roughly in the center, probably around there. Just drag it out, and it's actually a little bit bigger than the actual thing, probably around that size. Go ahead and drag this up, and let me just see how high it is. Yeah, it actually pops out a bit. It's probably a little bit smaller than this, so let's go ahead and just scale this. Well, instead of scaling, let's go ahead and use a radius. Probably around there will do. And just pump up the height a little bit more. Well, actually the height was fine. Okay, so that's great. Let's go ahead and make this not live. And we're going to go ahead and select these top pieces, and we're going to go ahead and add some extra detail to this. So select all of these, and while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and add in the loops as well. So just extrude this, and then probably, I'm not even sure about the offset, probably around there will do. Go ahead and extrude again, offset again. Okay, and just one more time, offset 0.1. Okay, and now we can go ahead and extrude this one more time, move it up a bit to get that loop, like so. Extrude again, move up, extrude again, move up to get that loop, and extrude, offset 0.01, I think it was, yeah. Okay, so that's done. Let's go ahead and add in the loop for the bottom of this as well. So let's go ahead and insert an edge loop around here, and then just select these bottom faces. Hold down Shift, left click, all the way around. Extrude, and then offset, probably 0.01 again. Okay, so that's great. Let's go ahead and smooth this, see how it's looking. Turn off my wireframe. And that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and add in the loop here that we've forgotten to do. So, like so. Okay, so that's great. Let's come out of isolation. And now we're going to go ahead and create this sort of, this piece. So you've got loads of sort of rigidy bits in it. So let's go ahead and go into a side view. I'm just going to go ahead and check the height of this. Shouldn't be too complicated. We're actually going to go ahead and make this piece live, just to make our life a bit easier. Whoops. And then go ahead and create a cylinder. Just drag it up, just give it a random dimensions for now. We'll go ahead and adjust that later. So I'm going to go ahead and make this not live, and then in my side view, I'm going to go ahead and adjust the size of this. So go into polishing the inputs, then the height. I'm going to go ahead and drag this down a bit, move it down. Okay, so that should do. You can go ahead and increase the subdivisions for this, so you can go ahead and add them rigidy things in. So we're going to probably go with 20 maybe, probably a little bit more, 30. Okay, yeah, 30 should do the trick. I think it might be a bit too much, but we'll see. And we're going to go ahead and select these faces. So I'm going to select one, select the other one with double click, and then it will loop around. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that for all of these. Oops, not that one, that one. Yeah, 30 should do, I think. go ahead and zoom in a bit. And then we're going to go ahead and play around with extrude and so on. So let's go ahead and extrude and then give it an offset. So just going to zoom into 1 so I see what I'm doing. And it seems like we're going to have to go ahead and type this in. So it's going to be 0.001 maybe. Okay. So it will give us that loop. Go ahead and extrude it again. Then we're going to go to thickness 0.001, well, minus 0.001. So that will give us that loop. And I just tried to zoom in a bit more so you guys can see what's actually happening. Okay, so we just added that loop in. We're going to go ahead and extrude again. And we'll probably go to minus 0.05. That's going to be too much. 0.005. Let's get in there. Let's try 0.001. I meant 0.01. Okay, so that looks good. And then now we're going to go ahead and extrude again. Go to thickness. Then this is going to be minus 0.1 to get that loop, and then extrude one more time. And go to offset 0.001 to give us that loop. Okay, so once we smooth these, this should be fine. And now we just got to go ahead and add in the loops for the top bit and around this rim here. So let's go ahead and do that. Insert edge loop, one up here, and one here on the bottom. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and isolate this. Go into our top view and go to face, select all of these. So I got the bottom selected as well. And go ahead and extrude, not bridge, extrude. I'm going to go ahead and use 0.05 offset. And that should do the trick. Okay, so let's go ahead and smooth this, see how it's going to look. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. Let's come out of isolation. So you get this sort of look for that. And now we're going to go ahead and create this top part, which is going to be fairly simple. We're just going to go ahead and duplicate this. So let's just duplicate. We're going to have to scale this by -1 to turn it upside down. And go ahead and place this. And I think that piece is a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and just scale this up a bit. And then make sure that it's in the right place. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let me just check. We're actually going to go ahead and move this in a little bit more. So it looks something like that. Okay, so that looks great. Let's go ahead and start creating this piece. And this actually has a hole inside it, just to give it an extra detail. Okay, so it looks a little bit more realistic, and this is just sort of a screw sitting inside there. So there are many ways to create this. The way we're going to go ahead and create this is we're actually going to use a cylinder and then go ahead and move that around. I mean a pipe. So let's go ahead and do that. And let me just think how we should do this. Basically, the hole, if I just move this piece in there so you guys can see for size wise. So basically the cylinder, I mean a pipe in a bit is going to be the size of that. Okay, so let me just undo this so it moves back. So let's go ahead and create a pipe. Go ahead and drag it out from here. The radius, it doesn't matter. I'm just worrying about that inner hole. Okay, so it's going to be roughly that size. And then height wise, I'm going to go ahead and drag it out a bit. Go into my front view. I'm going to go ahead and drag it where it's meant to be. And then we're going to make it as thick as it should be. So let's go ahead and scale it. Alright, so if you look at it in contrast to this piece, it's nearly in the center, and that's how big it is. Okay, so you can sort of eyeball it. So once we have this, we're basically going to go ahead and just move these vertices around. So if you have a look at this piece, as you can tell, this was a cylinder. I just moved the vertices around. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So we'll start probably somewhere with these. So select them two vertices and then use a scale tool to start pushing these to the side. And select these two, use our scale tool to start pushing them around, probably around there. Select these two, use a scale tool to push them to the side, and then we got these two left. Okay, so that looks okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and select that bottom there and snap it up so this is straight. Okay, so we sort of have our object. I'm going to go ahead and just push these out a little bit more, so to make sure that it lines up sort of perfectly. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and make this a little bit wider. So once we have the sort of outline that we have, we're going to go ahead and select these and just push them out a bit more, like so, and then we're going to go ahead and adjust these as well. Okay, so that looks more like it. We can probably go ahead and make it a tiny bit more wider, probably around there, and then again I'm just selecting these words, pushing them out, and then I'm going to go up to these two. Push these in, select these two. Okay, so that looks pretty good. That looks like what I'm looking for. So now it's just a matter of fact of adding in the loops that we need. And let me just look at this, two verts. That will be fine once we smooth it. I'll just try to get and adjust it a bit more. Okay, so that looks great. So once we have this, we can go ahead and add in all the loops for it. So I'm just going to go ahead and isolate it, and let's go ahead and try to add in all the loops. For some reason this bottom normal seems to be freaking out a bit. So I'm just going to select these faces and then go to normals, harden edge. And I should have sorted it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in all the loops that we need. I use our insert edge loop tool and add in the ones around here. And as you can tell, because these are still all quads, our loop will go around quite nicely. So there are many ways to create this piece, really, but this is probably the simplest and quickest way that I found to create this. I mean, you could start with sort of a square and then move the verts around, adding extra details, and then cut this hole in. But as you can imagine, that would take you a lot longer time. So we've got these as well. And now sort of the problematic bit is adding the loop around here, but that should be fairly easy. We're going to again use a loop, and it actually goes around really nicely. Okay, so that's great. Let's go ahead and add one more in here, and I think we pretty much added in all the loops that we need. So let's go ahead and smooth this, and we're gonna need a loop around here. So that's sort of the only problematic thing that we gotta do, is cut this around. So let's go ahead and do that. We're just going to use our insert edge loop tool and push it in around here, and then use our interactive split if I find it. Okay, use my everyday and I still forget where the tools are. Okay, so let's go ahead and you can go ahead and select these edges and actually delete them. Or we can use our merge vertex tool we've done it a million times before. So let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So we're gonna select these two. And let me just look in here. Right, it actually goes in, so let's go ahead and delete them as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and merge that vertex. Merge vertex tool in here. And now we can go ahead and get rid of this. Delete edge. Same with this one. Delete edge. Now we're going to go ahead and connect this bottom up interactive split. I'm just going to use that. And again, I'm not worried about where it's going. We'll go ahead and snap it to the right place. Okay, now you're going to go ahead and select this vertex, select the right axis, snap, select this, snap, same with this one, select the right axis, snap, and then let's go ahead and do these two as well. Snap. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and do the other side and we should be finished. So let's go ahead and use our interactive split. There we go. And again, not worried about where it's going. We'll go ahead and snap this after the edge is in. Select this vertex, select right axis, snap it, vertex, axis, snap, oops, that was the wrong one. There we go, that's better. And I can go ahead and delete this edge. And now we just got to connect that up and we should be done. So again, I'm gonna just use the interactive split tool. And you can use whatever tools are easiest for you. As you guys can tell, I'm not going into every single tool in here. I mean, in Maya you can achieve, as you can tell, I only use a couple of tools, very basic tools to model, and you don't have to know every single tool in Maya to go ahead and model a really, well, fairly complicated object such as Wally. But if you guys want to, you can always go ahead and play around with Pope Face and all this stuff, but in reality, as you can tell, you can play around with just these really simple couple of tools to go ahead and create very complicated shapes. So that's why I'm not really trying to get into every single tool in Maya, because it would just complicate things. So I think we added in all the loops now. Let's go ahead and smooth it. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Right, so that piece is done. Let's come out of isolation, and I think we're gonna have to go ahead and wrap this part up where we are now. We might, let's go ahead and try to squeeze this in. The reason why I'm keeping these parts around 20 minutes is because after around 20 minutes, my recording software it sort of freaks out when I try to render. So it's sort of a mission to squeeze in parts longer than 20 minutes. So we're just going to go ahead and create this pipe quick that goes in the center of this. Like so. And go into my perspective just to drag out a rough height. Go into my side view. Make sure it's positioned roughly right. Okay, probably around there will do. Push this in a bit. Let's go ahead and add in this extra detail to this again. So using my Q just to select things. And then again, let's go ahead and do the extrude. Not 1. Oh, that might be too little. Not 5. Go ahead and extrude again. Offset. Not 5. Now let me just check what sort of bolt I made here. Okay. So we can actually go ahead and extrude this a bit more. Probably around there. Extrude, offset, 0.05. To get that loop, we can actually go ahead and pull this out. Oops, sorry. Let's go ahead and extrude it now. And then pull it out a bit to get that loop. Extrude again, move out. Extrude again, move out to get that loop, and then extrude again, offset 0.05, and that's done. I'm going to go ahead and isolate and add in these loops here and on the other side, and we're basically done. So let's go ahead and find this other side and select all these faces. Not 5. Oop, 0.05 I meant. Okay, so that's great. Let's go ahead and smooth. Let's go look on this other side here. We got a nice highlight here. I might go ahead and add in just an extra loop here, so it won't go that far. Okay, there we go. That looks a lot better. Let's come out, isolate. And we got a screw in there basically. Let's go ahead and scale this up just a tad around there, and also going to go ahead and push this in a bit so you can see that there is an actual hole in this. And then we're going to go into a front view, just make sure that this is the right size. I'm going to select all those vertices, and it seems like that is roughly there. Okay, so let's go ahead and smooth it. So for you, it will be where this reference is at the thread. It's going to be around there. Okay, so that looks great. We finished this as well. We finished that. This is probably a little bit wider, but you can always play around with the right size. If I just turn on the threads and see, as you can tell, this one collides a little bit, but we can always go ahead and just grab these vertices like we did earlier and just pull them in a little bit, just so it doesn't collide with this piece. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So the next couple of parts, are we going to go ahead and start creating this piece that connects these two, I guess, and then go ahead and create this main support piece that holds this horse, that holds all these bits together. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed these parts, and I will see you guys in the next couple of parts.